Hi everybody, how are you? And welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Power Sessions with Natasha. I'll just wait and see who's gonna come in, and then we'll get chatting straight away. I hope everybody's having a good day. Whatever you're doing, most of us are still in lockdown. Some are free birds somewhere, but some of us are still not free yet. I'll just wait to see who comes in, and then we'll get right straight into what we're talking about today. You've seen on the title, we're talking about identity trauma of African people. Um, what's stopping us in so many things? What is stopping us from, achieving so many things? What is stopping us from being involved in so many things? You can see from the topic. Hi, Momani. Oh, thank you so much for joining. This is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how people react to this topic because I think it can ruffle up some feathers, but I think that is what we need for us to get somewhere. So let's just get into it. So we're talking about identity trauma of us as African people. And as I always repeat on this channel, African people does not mean me born in Africa, a person living in Africa. It is us, the melanated people, people of African descent. We are one nation, one people. We cannot separate each other. The labels are the issue. We have got to let go of the labels of I'm African American, you're from this country, you're from that tribe, you're from this. That is what is destroying us. This whole thing of trying to identify all the time and looking for an identity. So I wanted to look at identity trauma because identity trauma is really, really important in understanding what holds back a group of people or what holds us back from unifying, what holds us back from changing the narrative, because it's well and okay to keep blaming other people for our issues and everything we go through. We also need to blame ourselves. Accountability is really important in this, but I genuinely believe that for people to heal, for people to move forward, for some people it's very easy to understand, like, oh, we went through this, we went through that. We are all not the same. We are all very different individuals. For some people, they have to go step by step, guide by guide, and understand why are we like this. Some people understand why we've got to the point where we are as the people, where we are not unified and we can't progress. You understand? Some people don't. For us to heal as the people, we have to go back. We have to go back and learn about what is the origins of all these issues. You understand? Anybody in the chat, you agree with me or you don't agree with me? Like, I want it to be an interactive live, guys. I don't want you guys to just be listening to me. Hit me with the comments. If you want to ask me anything, if you want anything clarified, just say, yes, Tasha, I agree, I don't agree. Pop me some questions. Let's just get into it. But yeah, so I want to talk about us being decolonized as a people, decolonization of the African mind. In the Akan tribe, they normally find in Ghana and Ivory Coast, it's a symbol of what is called the Sankofa bird. I'll even show you what the Sankofa bird looks like, just for you to see what I mean. It's a beautiful bird, actually. I would just show you what it looks like. This beautiful bird is a Sankofa bird. It's an absolutely beautiful bird. And it symbolizes a lot in the Akan people. It symbolizes that when you look at the picture of the bird, it's reaching back, isn't it? It's reaching back to retrieve the past, as a way to use the past to move forward, isn't it? This is the sort of progress that I think is demanded by us to be decolonized as a people. I think that the development of concepts within our African roots, we have to take the task of working towards the decolonization of the African mind and the intellectual side of an African. So we have us in the mind and the intellectual side, which is, where do we draw our sources as a people from? Where do we draw what we say, oh, is so valuable? Where do we draw it from? Where does that come from? Those are the things we need to address for us to decolonize our mind. Decolonizing the mind is, we need a brainwashing, the opposite of what has happened to us. Decolonization of mind is very important for a lot of post-colonial African countries, for everybody who's been colonized. Let's be honest. It's not just a political independence, because when people come from decolonization, they go, oh yeah, we're free, everything's great, we're free people now. No, it doesn't stop with structures of the government, it doesn't stop with institutions. It's the way in which a country is economically organized. There's so many things that go with this, because when you look at it, right, look at the direct result of this. A lot of the European countries, even though people are colonized free, as in an independence, what do? They still benefit from their colonies. Look at France, look at Britain, look at America. They still benefit from the countries that they've colonized. Those are the issues that we have. You understand? We are not really, really free at all. To the point that, colonialism, for it to stop having an impact on the people of that country or the citizens of those countries, the people have got to understand the effects of it. People don't understand it. So I think in order to overcome the legacy of colonialism, it's necessary to decolonize the intellectual landscape of the countries and ultimately decolonize the mind of the formerly colonized. You understand? How is everybody doing in the chat? Is everyone okay? Yes. Mongani says yes to reversing the brainwashing. Of course, it's got to happen. The brainwashing has got to go back to its roots. We are now being brainwashed into the roots. That is the type of brainwashing that we want. The word brainwashing is not such a bad thing. But in order to understand what might be involved in the decolonization of the mind, it's necessary for Black people and African people to overcome psychological effects of colonialism. Guys, this is really, really important, because as the people just think that colonialism is something of the past. It's not something of the past. It is still within us. A lot of our people are still colonized. How many of you have friends or family friends that are so afraid of certain topics, are afraid of thinking a certain way because it's not the done thing? We as Black people, we as African people have certain behaviors across the board as a people that we see, and then we kind of question it amongst ourselves, like everywhere you go, like you see certain behaviors. The certain behaviors I'm talking about, the behaviors of not wanting, your brother to do better than you, not wanting anybody to do something that is successful, because why? We are constantly going, I need to do better, I need to do better, I'm better than you. We're always competing for the same thing. What are we competing for? For power that none of us even possess. Guys, as a group, we don't even have the power, because what is power? Money is power. You can have money as one person, and then what? You're still as weak on your own as we've been for how many years. Power comes with money. If we end up not fighting with each other and going, well, I have more money than you, so that means I'm better than you. If we stop that and we go, right, if you have money, if you're going to spend your dollar, if you're going to spend your pound, what are the things that you can use? What are the things you can do to put power back into your people? Buy Black. Your soap that you use, the shampoo that you use, the things you use in the house, buy from a Black company. Do you know how much buying power Black people have? Right now in America, if Black people left America, do you know America would literally go bankrupt? The buying power of Black people in America. Do you know how much buying power we have? We as a people have got to find ourselves and go, how do we put Black money back into our own pockets? Find a Black business that you can support, guys. We can't be chat all the time, right? If you are lucky enough that your family probably has land back home, or you can buy land, even if it's a small piece of land, even if you have family back home, buy a cow, buy a goat, do something, invest in something. something that is of your own value, of your own people. We need to stop thinking that investing in other countries is the best thing. As Vladimir Putin said, Africa is a graveyard for African people. We go abroad and what do? We live our lives, live our lives, live our lives, live our lives, joy, 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 joy. And then when we die, we say, bury me in Africa. How sad is that, guys? How sad is that? Right. So the behaviors, we have certain behaviors, and then these behaviors are these inferiority, little superiority complexes that we have, like, oh, I look like this, which is where colorism comes in. I look like this, so I'm better than that person because my complexion is like this, so I can get away with certain things and I can do certain things. Stop all of that. We are all the same. Nobody's different from each other. Whenever you've got time, I came across a very interesting term that I want you guys to go and research. It is called the phenomenological experience of a person, right? This is very, very important because this is how people form a part of their identity. And when you look at this phenomenological experience, I can't even pronounce it. I'll put it in the description box so that you can look it up. It's very, very interesting. It is, when you focus it on a Black person and how they created identity, they say that the first thing that comes up when Black people are creating their identity is an inferiority complex. Can you imagine? And there's two stages to this. The stage is, the first stage is an economic one, economic and material. And Black people, they say immediately when we are trying to form a perception of ourselves, we feel inferior economically and materially, because this is a result of being colonial subjects and being exploited for such a long time. The first thing Black people do when we're looking at ourselves and we're forming an identity of ourselves is that is how we feel. Second thing that comes about is this whole, the economic inferiority is then internalized. We internalize these things, right? One, you're Black. Two, economically and materially, you're poorer than everybody else. You don't get the jobs everybody else gets. What do? People internalize this. It becomes a psychological pathology. Do you know what a psychological pathology is? It's a psychological disorders. These are abnormalities and dysfunctions. That is what a psychological pathology is. These are the things that we are trying to deal with as a people, guys. These are the things we're trying to deal with as a people. Exactly, Bongani. We need to spend more money in our own community. Guys, the fact that when we try to form an identity of ourselves, we are looking at ourselves and going, one, materially, I can't afford that. Economically, I'm behind everybody. Why? Because we keep spending money in the wrong places. We keep spending money in the wrong people. Guys, there are so many Black people that are talented. They are all over Instagram. They are all over everywhere. That are making beautiful things. Buy from those people. The moment you start putting money back in your own community, let me tell you, it's very powerful, because what happens is that money circulates within your own community. Look at the Jewish community, what they do. Jewish people, look at them. They may not all get on, but they understand one thing. For us to thrive, what must we do? We have to support each other. But Black people, one thing we have, I can open a shop. One of you can open a shop. You will say, what does Bongani know? What does she know? What does the person who looks like us, we don't trust that person at all. We go, what is the person who looks like me? What do they know? Me, I'm going to go where I know. I'm just going to go back to Tesco or Sainsbury's and just keep shopping there. Meanwhile, your brother has opened something that caters to you, your own diet, but you still won't go and buy there. Why? It's a colonization of the mind. We are being taught to not trust what looks like us. And people think that it's 2020, we've moved on, these things, I'm from Zimbabwe, independence, 1980, EPA. No, there's no EPA going on. Guys, we are still colonized in here. You understand? Our generation has got to change these things. We've got to change it, because the past generation, They've still got those little fears. But at the end of the day, guys, we are made of stock, good stock. We've had ancestors who fought for us, shed blood for us. Even to get independence in the 60s, 50s. People died. People put their lives on the line for us to go, oh my God, I am free. You know, I am a free person. I'm born free. So what has happened to us? Where's the fight? I genuinely believe that African people think that when we received independence, it was the end of the job, end of the work. You know what? Our generation, we've got to bring our own revolution. We've got to bring our own change. The old generation, they fought. They're tired. They're a little bit tired. Let me tell you guys, they're a little bit tired, a little bit worn out. And they just go, okay, we got these guys independence. Everybody's free now. We've kind of done the job. But the poison is in the leaders. The poison is in the leaders. They quite happily enjoy the money that they steal from our governments, right? Taxpayers, whatever, the money they get from all the governments, from China, coming from everywhere. They steal all that money. Their kids live abroad. They live amazing lives. They can go to these expensive universities. You see them, they've got trust funds. Meanwhile, the normal person cannot afford that. I understand, guys, that is very disheartening. And then you think, what is the point of investing back home if these are the things that are happening? We have got to fight that. How do we start? As African people, sometimes I believe we love leaders. We love leadership, right? Leadership has never, most of the time, leadership has led us into really treacherous things, has not led us into good things. It's actually led us into the wrong type of things. So what do we need to do? We have got to individually do something. Guys, share knowledge, your money. There's so many ways we can affect how the future is going to roll out. Do you understand me? So many ways, right? The opposite of what we've just described of how Black people feel inferior economically and then they internalize that is how white people feel. The parallel of that, opposite of that, is white superiority complex is formed through the similar stages. They go through the whole economic and material, but they feel superior. That internalized becomes a complex of entitlement and belief that one is superior. These complexes that Black people, white people, whoever you are, whenever we experience these complexes, they reach very deeply into people. And then what happens is it starts as an individual thing, then it becomes a collective psyche, becomes a collective thought process, right? Black people end up going, I can't afford this. I can't do this. I can't really get that job because this. It starts as an individual. Then what happens is the psyche becomes a group psyche. We all start believing in that. We all start believing in that. We all start believing that. And what happens? It is now the status quo in our people. We just think we don't have the buying power. We don't have the economic power. We do. We do. We do have the buying power. We need to find a way to go, that person is Black. I'm buying from that person. I'm investing in their products. Let me tell you, that is how the Black Wall Street was built. You invest in each other, reinvest in each other. That is really, really vital, guys. We are not these disadvantaged people. We are not. So another way in which, this whole context of, decolonization and stuff can be understand is to think of ourselves and think of the way that is, how is the thinking of eliminating it? Why is it important? Why is it that it cannot only be political change only? Because the colonization of the mind causes the internalization. Guys, the internalization is so dangerous. You understand? The psychological effects of colonialism of the oppressed people is really, really dangerous. A colonized mentality is marked by a sense of inferiority. And the worst thing that actually comes out of it is this: we have this desire to be more like the colonizers. Do you know that? We have this desire to be more like the colonizers. Me, I grew up in Zimbabwe, you understand, where if you had certain features, they'll say, you have English features. Your features are so English. You understand? As if it's something that is so much superior to us. Like, I don't know, English features are so beautiful or something. They are, but like, why would you say that to somebody? As if to say that being African, being Black is not something that is good. You even have it where if you're on time, people say to you, "Oh my God, that's so white." That is such a white thing that you do. If you are a very organized, put together person and you live a certain way or you like certain things, even if you just like vintage things or you like things that everybody doesn't like, the first thing black people can say to you is, "Oh, you're so white." Why do we have this reinforcement of ourselves that anything that is good is white? Why? I mean, anybody in the comments wants to comment about that? Am I the only one who's realized that about us? That anything that is positive, we go, "Oh, that is so white." To just reinforce that our colonizers is what you want to be. You're aspiring to be like your colonizer. They look good. They do things right. You as a people, we don't do things right. If you're not on time, yeah, that's the black way. If you're on time, oh, why are you acting so white? Why have we got these reinforcements to ourselves that what is black is not good, but what is opposite of us is what is great? I don't know if somebody wants to talk about it. Let's go for it, guys. It's like, in other words, it's like the value of the colonizer, or which the people that oppressed us, is so internalized. We literally have suffered a loss of self-esteem. We've started to hate ourselves and what we represent in the worldview of the oppressor. That is what has happened to us. In fact, we can even go deeper and say that the fact that we are black, right? I live in the diaspora. Other people live in the diaspora that are going to watch this. Some people live back home in Africa. Your blackness, when you walk into a room, people react to you a specific way, right? And then the way they acknowledge you as a black person is under this perceived white gaze, as if to say, "Ooh, the black people have arrived." Even when you go into a restaurant, I know it's impossible to escape. It's impossible. But the fact that people around us react to us in a certain way with a specific racial stereotype means that we either accept these and internalize them, or we react against them. And then what we do when you react against them, you continuously set out to prove that you're not these features. Either way, the manner in which others react in your blackness is something that you actually take into account in your life. And what is it? It bogs you down. It bogs you down, and you think, wow, like, I'm black and this is how everybody views me. Guys, the decolonization of the mind comes in if we decolonize our minds, we will not be suffering like this. We will not be suffering like this. You understand? We will not be suffering like this. Even if you came across those, literally, Bongan, you've said it. You understand? Willie Lynch syndrome, kill the mind, strengthen the body. Again, you said the apprehensive stare. You know the apprehensive stare. You know it. You walk in a room, it's the white gaze. Ooh, they've arrived. Ooh, how are they going to behave? Ooh, let's all just settle down and see how they're going to be. I know it is things that we have to take on. I totally get it. You understand? It's the white gaze. But there are so many examples of how we've been affected. Steve Biko. I love Steve Biko. Guys, I mean, that's a revolutionary. That's a freedom fighter. He's a person who really mentally studied colonialism. Colonialism is a part of an extension of apartheid, of slavery, of so many things, and he felt that colonialism left so many people with an inferiority complex, which actually psychologically crippled a lot of people. And he actually said, in order for us to deal with the possible social and psychological repercussions of race, he actually said that this is so hard to actually say, guys. He said that the classifications we have as a whole, as a people, is the issue. Race and categorization, and you are black, you are this. I hate saying the categorization of races and everything. It just, it's very, very important that even till today, these categorizations are very important, and when you look at Black people in certain places, they actually tend to think of themselves in racial terms first before they think of other aspects of their identity. How sad is that? You understand? How sad is that we as the people, sometimes before we even look at ourselves as, we just look at ourselves as that is so, so scary. It's very profound when you look at it. You understand? Oppression and its history, means denial of opportunities, poverty, people are rationalized. This biological racial differences and hierarchy, they've shaped the opportunities, self-esteem, and of people, race groups, so many things. They've done this to so many people. You understand? But the topic that we have to actually discuss is, after everything that has happened, the colonialism, the mental colonialism, how are people able to lead flourishing lives? Because the truth is, the whole continued difference, the differences, what do? They actually affect life expectancy, guys. We know that. Life expectancy of a Black person in a Western world is probably a little bit less than a person who's not of that. You understand? Even in Africa, look at how people just die. It is not easy. It's really not easy, guys. You understand? When you try and comprehend all these things, the continued differences are a good indicator, which could use to measure whether people can live flourishing lives or not. And not having the capacity to live a flourishing life is a prime example of how prejudice can actually cause, and perpetuate a detrimental life in people, a very, very detrimental life for people. So where does African philosophy and all of that come in? African philosophy is very, very important. You understand? It's very, very important. The problem is the central feature of today's African philosophy. It comes from tragedy, discipline, pain, confusion, rage, anger, colonial destruction. That is where a lot of our African philosophy is coming from. It's coming from the wrong place. Hence, we cannot flourish as a people. African philosophy has got to change. You understand? We need to get out of this African philosophy that is dying for a quest for to be healthy. You understand? This wanting to say, oh, we can totally communicate with the Europeans with our philosophy. We've got to get out of that. Let's snap out of that. You understand? Our empowerment is to reclaim our intellectual space that we were denied as Africans. We are very intellectual people. You understand? Philosophy is about truths. You understand? We need to seek the truth. Seek the truth. Restore the truth. Restore our history. That is what we need to do. You understand? Our heritage, who we are as a people. You understand? Philosophy has this ability to bring life, reflect on life. It creates new territory. It extends the range of life by creating new concepts. Philosophy is very powerful. As African people, we need to get rid of these Western schools that we have, these Western schools that we have in our countries. The fact that we think in our schools in Africa, even in our own homes as African people, how many people actually take the time to teach their children what it is to come from where they come from? Please. Unless they say, oh, it takes too much time. But you are expecting change. You're expecting change from the future generation when you can't even teach them the truth of who they are. So how is the change supposed to happen? How is that change supposed to happen? You understand? How is that change supposed to happen? We have got to teach ourselves, change the philosophy, change what is put in the minds of your people, change what is put in the minds of your children. It is your task. It is time, guys. It is the time now to do that. change our philosophy. In Africa, we need to take down all those Western ideas, those Western schools. They are not benefiting anybody. All they are doing is further colonizing our people. What is wrong with our own educational system? It is not inferior. We've been told it's inferior. It's got to change. Get rid of all this stuff. We need to stop saying, oh, when my son gets to 18 years old, he needs to go abroad and have an education. Education is not bad. It's not a bad thing. But why can't we have our own universities in Africa where our children don't have to leave at 18 years old to go somewhere to be educated? You understand? Why? The African philosophy has got to be what? Looked at, find the truth, restore it. We cannot keep looking for other people to save us as the people. It has got to stop. This thing of blaming white people, blaming other people for years, we've got to stop this. Really and truly. We are the issue. We are the fixers. I can talk. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I've given myself 2 years. I'm leaving. Because right now, I'm reinvesting myself in Africa. I don't have to tell everybody what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. What are your plans? What are your plans? What are your plans? What are your future plans? What are you doing right now? Right? Are you because what I find with African people in the diaspora, we are very comfortable. We are very comfortable in this, and we think this comfortability is going to stay forever. Let me tell you, people in the UK and the diaspora and US, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. That is not sustainability. That is not sustainability. It is foolery. It is foolishness. It really is foolishness. You understand? When people came and found us in Africa, we were sustainable. We had, you still have the Herero people of Namibia. Those people are known for farming. Cows, we have cows, goats, chickens. You've been told to look at cows as if that's village people lifestyle. Guys, if you have your own cows, your own livestock, your own land where you grow your own food, look at coronavirus. What has it taught us right now? People are running to Tesco to buy tissue. People are running to Tesco to get food. Grow your own food. Invest yourself somewhere else where you are wanted and needed and you're actually appreciated. And guys, owning land in Africa is not a very difficult thing. The exchange rate of UK to dollar and African currencies is immense. Let's stop looking at other people for solutions and blaming other people. Yes, things have happened to us, but it's been hundreds of years now. And what are we doing about it? Sitting like sitting ducks. For what? Who enjoys being a sitting duck? You understand me? It's got to stop. African philosophy. Let's go back and teach our children. These are the people you come from. This is your education. If you want, create your own curriculum at home. Teach your children. You understand? It is absolutely ridiculous that we think other people are going to come and give us problems. Africans, we love leadership. We like waiting for leadership. Leadership, where has it led us to? It's time to come together now. Ozzy said our identity was compromised by introduction of various religions. Exactly. I was going to touch on that, Oz, actually. Another issue we have in Africa, Africa is the only continent where there are 10 million religions. 10 million religions, where everybody, one religion to another religion. Religion is another issue that we have in Africa that is dividing Africans worldwide. This thing called religion. I'm telling you, there are religions that were brought to Africans that do not belong to Africa. And those things are still being used as colonization tools today in 2020. I'm telling you guys, it is still happening today. These religions that have been introduced to us are lethal. They are part of the reason why we are always divided. It can never be together. Ubuntu needs to happen, guys. Do you understand? Stop sitting there waiting for somebody to come and tell you what to do. Land is wealth. Oz, exactly. Land is wealth. Land is everything. Look here in the UK, I live in my own flat and everything. But how much does it cost per square mile to have a little bit of land? It's a lot of money. In Africa, we have it in abundance. Let's buy up our own land. Let's go back to our lands. Invest in your lands. If you feel uncomfortable to go home directly today, tomorrow, in 2 years, slowly invest. There is no harm in doing that. Nobody's going to come and kill you for doing that at all. You understand? If you have a little bit of even African heritage in you, please invest in Africa. Because tomorrow, if you want to retire, we take you with us. You understand me? Let's leave this mentality of I'm waiting for somebody, I'm waiting for the government, or the white people did this to us, or the white people, they did this to us. Okay, but the white people, they are living their lives. What are you doing? Busy being a victim. We love being victims. I'm sorry, it might upset other people when you hear this, but the decolonizing of the mind, I've gone through so many points with you guys today to say, guys, yes, this is what we are fighting against. The mind is such a hard thing to put together and tackle, guys. You know, people find the mind a very difficult thing. So imagine you have to live life every day, and then now you have to deal with the whole decolonizing of the mind, the washing of the brain. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. It is genuinely a lot, guys. I get it, but it's got to happen. You understand? And we need to stop mollycoddling each other and telling each other that, it's the white people. Leave the white people alone. They are moving on with their lives. You need to move on with your life, and you need to move on with your own people. Because let me tell you, they are looking after their own people. We have this obsession, this obsession of not wanting to support each other. I don't know why. No, I do know why. It's the colonization of the mind. Do not trust what looks like you. Do not take information from what looks like you. Guys, where's that got us? Where has that got us? We have our African American children stolen from Africa, taken to a land that is not theirs. They kill them because it's not their land. We must take each other back home. They are killing our brothers and sisters in America. They are treating them like nothing. Why? It is not their land. So we must work together as one people to what? Take each other back home. Even if it takes you 15 years. As long as you know that somewhere along the lines, your mind is invested in Africa and you're invested in going back home at some point. At some point. Or you, even if you don't want to go back home, have something back home. Something. Because let me tell you, African people in diaspora, this comfortability that you are feeling, what happened in China can happen to us today. Tomorrow they can wake up and say, oh, Black people, get out. What are you going to do? Black people in diaspora, African people in diaspora, we have become so comfortable. We are actually becoming part of the problem. I'm telling you, people back home cannot suffer. They cannot suffer. Just because we somehow ran away, we've escaped. We haven't escaped. We haven't escaped. Some of us, yes, we were brought here as children, but wake up. Wake up. You understand? Wake up. No one's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save us. You understand? There's so many concepts, guys. So many concepts. You know, African philosophy needs to draw and create concepts from the place of Africa. You understand? It is instrumental to do that. This is very, very possible. It's not unattainable. We have to decenter the assumed Western centers of knowledge, these universities, these places that we think, oh my God, we are gaining so much knowledge. All your children are going and learning there is to be how more colonized they can be. How much more colonized can they be? That is all your children are going there to learn. To be honest, I know I sound like I'm on a little rant and everything, but I am absolutely sick and tired of our people thinking solutions are going to come from somebody or somewhere. They are not. We are the solution. African philosophy is something that we can totally do. Why not? Why not? We have abundance of knowledge. How many of us have come to the UK and have studied law, medicine, engineering? How many people? We are now millions. You understand? We are now millions. The African concept is not some romanticized thing that cannot happen. We need to engage the concepts rooted in Africa. We need to have a starting point for reflection. You understand? We need those concepts like Ubuntu. They should be engaged, lock loaded right now. You understand? It is not some static concept from Africa's past. And even if we reconnect with our roots, guys, we are forward moving people. We could empower Africa and Africans through challenging these accepted Western philosophical paradigms. They are paradigms. Paradigms are very, very strong. For you to get out of a paradigm, you've got to go back to the beginning. Even as a child, if you're going through your own traumas, personal traumas, a paradigm is very important. We have got to challenge these accepted Western philosophical paradigms that have been accepted by us. You understand? Western philosophy does not contribute anything to African philosophy. It doesn't. You understand? It doesn't. Universally, our interest should be African philosophy and African. That is what we need. That is what we need, guys. There is an equal intellectual footing here. It is equal. We need to stop being these people who are, oh my God, do you think we have enough knowledge? Do you think we have it? We do. We do. You understand? We do. There's nothing stopping us. Okay, Ozzy said, when the colonial rule penetrated Africa, they introduced an education that creates workers. Not exactly. And now we think having a career and just slaving away like a donkey is the way of an African person, and it fulfills you so much. We were never like that. You understand? This whole education system of the West, it serves the West. It doesn't serve Africans. It doesn't serve our people by any means whatsoever. It doesn't. It is actually doing us a disservice. But somehow we have bought into this idea that without Western education, we are nothing. Without Western philosophies, we are nothing. Without Western this, without doing things the Western way, we are nothing. The lies they have filled our heads, the lies they've told us, to the point of even our hair. If it doesn't look Western, you're not beautiful. If your skin is a certain skin type, it's not beautiful. My people, I cannot beg with you enough. People in the chat might think to me, oh, Natasha, you're just talking. Do you know what? I'm trying to share knowledge of my people, to my people, and of our history. We all need to play a part. Everybody has a part to play in this. African people in the diaspora, we have power. Africans in Africa, we have power. We need to come together. The labels have got to go. How you are African American, you are Jamaican, you are from Barbados, you are from Zimbabwe, you are from South Africa. The labels have got to go. The labels were introduced to us. There's a lot of work to be done. I get it. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's important to understand that our identity has gone through so much trauma. So much trauma. It is ever so difficult for us to just go, oh, let's all come together. It's difficult. I get it, because the colonization has told you is to compartmentalize each other. Go, oh, no. You even get people here. I live in the UK. You can see another African person and greet them. They'll look at you like, do I know you? Why are we like that? Why? If one of us starts a business in the chat, whoever's in the chat, if one of us starts a business, let's support that person. Why are we afraid of supporting each other? Why? Because of the colonization of the mind. So if you haven't watched the beginning of the video, go and watch the beginning of the video, because we've gone through a lot of things. You understand? We've gone through a lot of things. Our African culture, guys, when people came to us in Africa, yes, we might have not worn a lot of clothes. Our culture is not sexualized. They came and they sexualized our culture, where they say, oh, when you see a woman with her breast out, or when you see her wearing certain things, oh, these people, they are so sexual. That is how they deemed us. We are not sexual. Our culture was demonized. Our identity was demonized. And now when people see an African woman with a baby and she's breast, oh, you must cover that breast. What? Nature has been tampered with. And Africa is a huge part of what nature is. People, humans come from Africa. Let me tell you, if people don't want to understand that or really hear that, humans come from Africa. Always think to yourself and think, why is it everywhere you go, people want to attack people of this color? Why? People are sitting and plotting. Why? Think about that question. Guys, I don't want to talk for too long. I think I've done enough talking. Does anybody have any questions in the chat? Or does anybody want to call in? Because I can invite you. And you don't have to show your face. You can just come in and have a little chat. You can join the chat if you want. I've dropped the link in the chat where anybody can click on the link and come into the chat and have a talk about Africa. You know, I know I'm very passionate because it makes me upset to see my people like this. There's another person I want you guys to go and check out. His name is Joshua Maponga. He's a Zimbabwean guy. He's on YouTube. He has Make Africa Great, a channel. He's amazing. He's really, really enlightened man. You know, he's like a prophet. He's amazing. Check him out as well. Like I shouted out some other YouTubers the other day. Wodamaya is doing amazing things. Wow, guys. You know, like follow that brother. I think he's actually opened a Patreon. Go and follow him on Patreon. Anybody wants to join the chat or wants to call in as a video or not even as a voice, you can do that. Or else I am just going to say my closing remarks and go. I don't want to stay too long and bore you guys. And I really appreciate everyone coming in to the live and tuning in. We need to address these things, you know, we really, really need to address these things. I'm just going to go back into the chat and see what people have said. Oh, hi, Noble Shabazz. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our African-American brother. Hey, he's in Memphis. He's great. Very, very supportive. Very, very supportive. I think he's a walking encyclopedia. How many books have you read? Or how big is your library? I can't remember how big your library is, but yeah, very, 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 very enlightened man. Very enlightened. He's he's found out that he's of Nigerian descent. We love that. You know, let's all find out where we come from. But yeah, anyone else wants to put in any comments or anything like that? Or else I'm gonna go, guys. I'm really enjoying these live chats with you guys because I get to show my personality and you guys get to know who I am and you know what kind of person that I am, you know. I'm really enjoying them. Let me know how often you would want me to do them. And I will see if I can fulfill it. And please tell me what topics you want me to discuss and talk with you guys. You are the audience. You have every right to tell me, Natasha, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? And your wish shall be my command. Channel, we need people. We need people like you to keep it up. Thank you so much. Channel is from the Gambia. Yay! Noble Shabazz says, what can be done to open the minds of our people in the motherland? The people in the motherland, I do believe that if we are the ones in the diaspora, we've got to feed them information. I know for a fact that I have family that I have sent information to and they've heard things. Oh, Oz wants to come in. They've heard things. Hi, Oz.
Hey, what up? Can you hear me?
What's up? Yes.
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for doing the live.
I had to. I had to.
Come on, tell us what you want to say.
Um, it's simple. I think with when it comes to Africa, there was never a border system. That's the first thing. So creating a border system created different identities within Africa.
Yes.
Hence why you find that hence why you find that Africa, whenever you speak to somebody from maybe Kenya, you laugh at their accent. You speak to somebody else from Nigeria, laugh at their accent. Speak to somebody from Zimbabwe, they laugh at their accent. Why do you laugh amongst each other? Hence why I mentioned earlier about the Willie Lynch syndrome. Basically, what they used to do is they used to put one Negro to take charge of other black people, and people used to hate them. So the reason why they used to separate them is to create hatred amongst each other.
Exactly.
And this has happened in Africa so many times. They
You and
used
Ronani
tribes
mentioned
to
that. Yeah, you
separate
both
and
mentioned the
divide
Willie Lynch
Africa.
syndrome.
Tribes had great respect for one another. There never used to be wars, but there used to be agreements. Very, it was very interesting how Africa was set up and how Africa was introduced when they came into Zimbabwe. Because I'm from Zimbabwe myself, so I know a bit of history of my own country, how they came and colonized Africa, my country. When they came to my country, we had a very strong spiritual system that was purely based on ancestrals and stuff like that. And I'm sure that a lot of Africans out there have the same system. Now, when they came over, they realized that they could not break the system. So what they did is created churches, four churches: the Anglican Church, the Catholic
Exactly.
Church, the Methodist. All these were
All
used
these.
as military, but under the covenant of church. And what they
Yes.
did is they went out and started beheading the spiritual connection, which were what we call maybe the sangomas or the spiritual the
The
leaders.
Mondoros. Yes,
And
the
then what they did is
Mondoros.
they took their
Yes.
heads into Europe to discover why they had that capability of uh, of seeing things in the future, of that ability of speaking to the spiritual world. They wanted to discover that, so they took their heads and beheaded them in front of people so that people could be afraid. So once that connection was eliminated, then people were afraid and they didn't know where to go to except to go to these churches.
These churches.
And that's
Exactly.
where that church system was put into induced into Africa. It's the same thing that happened in South America. You had a population of 12.5 million people, but after the colonial rule, there's only left to 250,000. After everybody had been killed, people were fighting for everything, and a lot of South Americans died during the reign of the colonial rule. So I don't know. With Africa, what we need to do, the first thing we need to do is use the system that they've taught us into our own people. First of all, what they do is they introduce educational systems. Now, educational systems, it's gonna this change is not gonna happen in our lifetime. Maybe in the next 100, 200 years. But what we need to do, we need to start introducing Pan-African studies. We need to
That's it.
start going to our youngsters and start
That's
teaching our
it.
youngsters the
That's it.
true identity and the wealth of a black man and a black woman. And that's the
Yes.
only way that Africa is going to start changing. To
Yes.
this day, there's too much egos, and we're trying to emulate a
The
system
Western.
that's not ours. That's why we always
Exactly.
fail.
It's not
We
ours.
have to create our own identity and our own system that works for us instead of having to try and create this particular foreign system that we have no identity to. That's why you find that leaders cannot communicate with the masses in Africa, because the masses are predominantly people who are in villages who don't have any capacity or understanding of what these systems are
A
when it comes to their
political
traditional
system
sense.
is.
And I don't
Yeah.
understand. What do you think?
I recently did a podcast. I mean, I did a podcast
I
on
can't hear you.
Wielangehand.
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Oz, can you hear me? Hello?
I can't hear you, unfortunately. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, okay. I don't know why you can't hear me. I can hear you. Okay, I'll just reply and then I'll try and sort it out. So I just recently did, let's see. No, I can't unmute you. I don't know why I can't hear you, but you can't hear me. But yeah, I recently did a
Hello?
podcast. I recently did a podcast.
I really can't hear you, unfortunately. I can speak, but I can't hear what you guys are saying. So
Okay, if you come out and then I'll answer you back, is that okay? So, I recently did a a podcast on Buyane Handa. She's from Zimbabwe, and she was an ancestor who would see what we call Mashikiro and Mondoro. She could see into the future and everything. And actually what happened is they beheaded her. They took her head, her and Sekuru Kagui, and these heads of these ancestors of ours are still in London in museums right now. As he said, they took their heads to try and see how they would see the future. But the problem we have is they've taken those as war trophies. That's what they're under the disguise of, war trophies. But no, actually what they wanted to do is to say, how do these people see into the future? Because the Shikiros, when the Chimurenga War started, the freedom fighting in Zimbabwe started, they blamed it all on the spirit mediums, because they knew if they attack the spirit mediums, they are now attacking the foundation of the people. They're attacking what the people believe in. It's their belief system. So they knew they had to do that, and they introduced the churches. So when I say religion is very dangerous for Africans. It is the most lethal thing ever introduced to African people. Till today, people are praying for somebody who don't look like them to come and save them. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make any sense. Bongani asked, what's your thoughts on religion and how it teaches us not to ask questions and stop critical thinking? Oof. Hey. Whew. It's a minefield of a question, Bongani. Wow, you're gonna start something on YouTube, you know. Oz, I love your answer. I'm gonna finish with Oz, and then I'll come to Bongani's question. Oz, what you said is incredible. I genuinely believe that the system of teaching our children is one of the things we really need to change. As I said earlier on in the video, these Western philosophy, these Western ideas, these Western schools, going into school in a Western world, a Western way, it has got to stop. Our own ways are phenomenal. We are the first civilizations of the world. You understand? People can tell you all they want. This is the reason why we need to teach our children, to tell them. We are not these lazy people. We're not these people who've not contributed anything to society. If you go and you read and you teach your children and you study yourself, you will know where you come from. Your value is unmatched. Hence, everybody wants to knock you down wherever you go. They all want to knock you down. Why? Because Black people don't see their own beauty. Black people don't even see how amazing we are. We threaten everybody wherever we go. Why does everybody want to plot against us wherever you go? Why? There's a reason why. There's a reason why. The potential, they see our potential. We don't see our own potential, which is the issue. You understand? Oz, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I think that is the issue. Bongani asked the question, what's your thoughts on religion and how it teaches us not to ask questions and stop critical thinking? I was brought up a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay. I thought you were talking to me. Oh no, I was about to answer that question. Basically, when it comes to religion is it's more like a philosophy. It was designed by most of the Greek philosophers called the Stoics. I'm sure you heard of them.
The Stoics, yes.
Right. Basically, it's like a donkey and carrot situation whereby you're trying to create. It imprisons your mind. It imprisons the ability of creation, because everything that you want to question is not allowed to be questioned. All you have to do is do.
Of course.
So that kind of eliminates the creativity of the human mind. Do you understand? So it's a psychological penitentiary whereby you cannot speak or breathe, and that ends up becoming the core of the foundation of your existence, because then you cannot question anything, nor can you question authority.
Exactly.
You understand?
I'll give you my personal experience. So religion, I was brought up a Jehovah's Witness, and the whole idea is, of religion is a very interesting thing, because when you look at religion, it comes under the guise of, we're here to save you. We are here to take you to a better place. This is a place of comfort. This is a place of betterment for you, that even when you die, it's not only in your physical existence, even when you die, we are giving you something better. You understand? It's a very powerful thing when you look at somebody who probably has nothing and you offer them something like that, they will clutch onto that. The amazing thing is when I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness, I have certain gifts that I have as a person, spiritual gifts, and I realized from a very young age that those gifts were abundant in me. And I thought, is there something wrong with me? So what was happening with me is something would happen spiritually with me, connected to me as an African person from my ancestors, you understand, from childhood. And I would question myself. I would be like, there's something wrong with me. Something is wrong with me. I shouldn't be experiencing this. It's wrong. Until I got older and the experiences became stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And I realized that it's either the religion has got to go, or it was actually my survival, because it actually started to make me ill, started to make me sick, to be honest with you, not being able to fully be who I was, which was connected to what my ancestors are. It started to actually make me physically sick. I realized that, and I thought to myself, if I don't do this, I will never free myself. And I left. And let me tell you, as Oz said, it's a penitentiary. It is a prison. You are not allowed to question anything beyond. If it doesn't make sense, apparently it doesn't matter. Just live with it. How can we live with things that don't make sense when we come from our own practices as Africans that made full sense, gave us advantage in everything that we did? How can we come from that to these lies that have been spread to us? And look at our people on the continent. Look at our people on the continent. They go to anything, these false people coming out as prophets. People are spending their time, their money, even if they are poor, they spend it upon these places. And I think, guys, if these things were really working, how come people are still in poverty? How come people's lives are not improving? How come? Let me tell you something. If people think this thing called religion is freedom, you are still a slave. Mentally, physically, spiritually, you are a slave. You need to free yourself of those shackles. These religions are not part of who you are at all, by any means. I said this earlier on in the video. You understand? Let me take another comment. Noble Shabazz said, facts, we need to teach our children about our people and greatness. Yes, we do. Guys, we have people in our history. We have ancestors. Look at people like Malcolm X, James Baldwin. Look at all these people we have in history. You're telling me that these people sacrificed their lives for what? For us to be sitting ducks and do nothing? It's a joke. It is a total joke. We come from greatness. We come from people. Let me tell you something I really believe. I think Black people were a living miracle on this earth. We are genuinely a living miracle. How we have survived, and we have caught up with people. People still even hate us. We flaunt. It's amazing how when you look at culture and you go to America, when people make it, all they love is buying gold jewelry, gold things. It's part of you. You were adorned with beautiful garbs and jewelry when you were in Africa anyway. It's part of who you are. It's nothing new. So don't fret when you like to look good and you know how to dance and you know how to move and you've got swag. Darling, that is not something learned out of a magazine. It is in your DNA. It is who you are. And let me tell you, nobody can do it like us. So, people of my own people, please realize the beauty of you. You understand? Noble Shaban says, yes, religion is death, and this virus has shown that no one is coming to save you. You are God's having a human yes! I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. You are God's having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that is the detachment a lot of people have. People think we are on this the physical world has labels to make things make sense, because we enter it as spiritual beings, but we enter it into as physical beings. Guys, there is so much work to be done. There's so much enlightenment to happen. I will be here, to enlighten people. I will be here to have the discussions. I want to have the discussions. You understand? And I love you all that always tune in and Oz on the line. Does anybody else want to join in on the chat? Noble Shabazz, you want to join in or say anything? Does anybody? I'll drop the link again in there. Let me just drop the link. Oz, you're phenomenal. I like the comments you said. You know, I
Okay.
love the comments that you said, because it's really important to have, like, you know, different perspective and everything on everything that is happening with us as a people. You know, what do you think the solutions are for us as a people? What are the solutions?
The solution to any problem is going within first. You have to look and rectify what your own personal issues are. Now, the thing is, if you look at this, if you look at the Western, the new, the systems that are there, whether it's called capitalism or or whatever that we are in, it's not something that we have designed. You understand? It's we're trying to emulate, as I said, we're trying to emulate a system that's not ours. That's why we keep on failing. Now, a good example is Japan. Japan had a system, and what the Europeans wanted to do, the colonizers wanted to do, is come in with the church again. So the Catholic Church went in to invade Japan at some point, and Japan refused and started killing instead of killing the priests, he started killing the people, the followers. So it eliminated the followers. You know, although it was not the nicest thing to do, but it had to work. Why? Because they said, how could you come and fill a cup that's already full with more stuff? It's full already. Why do you need to introduce new things to something that's already full? So
I know.
they eliminated that. And that's why they're the greatest nation. They kept their identity. Now you go to China. China, I think in the 70s, they changed their mind. They changed the concept. They eliminated Westernization in the whole of China, and they still stick to it, and they kept their religions. If you look, that's why a lot of people are being prosecuted. Why? Because they don't want to have that Western philosophy in their culture, and hence why they're growing. Now,
I get it.
Africa, unfortunately,
I get it. I get it. The thing is, I respect what they've done. The only thing is, as African people, I don't want us to become people who colonize other people, because what is now happening with China is they've taken it to a point where now they are wanting to become colonizers. And guys, what we are trying to put here is we need to just be free as ourselves as people. Black people, if we were colonizers, we would have done it a long time ago. Black people are actually a very kind people, that I'll tell you. For the shit that people have put us through, for the nastiness people have put us through, to be still so kind and still have some level of humanity and kindness in us, if we come together as a people, let me tell you, we are a great nation of people. What we don't ever want to do is, yes, tackle the issue, but then become the colonizers as well. That becomes a problem, which is the issue we have with China right now, because they are now becoming colonizers. So I'm gonna
I will say something. Africa did colonize the country.
Okay, we'll leave that for another conversation. I just wanted to talk about our identity today, our identity traumas today.
All right. Okay.
I don't want to go into other things because we kind of then lose track of what we're trying to, sort of like, create here. So it's about our people. It's about us today. It's not about other people, anything like that. It's about us, our beauty, our people, how do we get from point A to point B? So guys, invest in Black businesses, invest back home. Everybody, African American, Black, British, whatever you want to call yourself, as long as you have this skin, you are African. Please invest in your own continent, because that is the continent we all come from. If you're from the Caribbean islands, that is where you come from. If you're in America, that is where you come from. Me, that is where I come from. Oz, that's where he comes from. Everybody, that's where we come from. You understand? Let us, as a nation, as a people, come together. That is all that is needed. We are so beautiful. We are so beautiful. Honestly, you understand? We are such a beautiful people. But I really appreciate everybody that's tuned in. I am just going to let you go, Oz, and then I'll end the stream in a minute. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate this. I hope we can continue to have these discussions, these topics, so that we can just better ourselves as a people. It's all about bettering each other. It is really all about bettering each other. Nobody's going to come and save us. Nobody's coming with that whole package and plan for us and go, oh, by the way, we did all this to you. This is how we're going to save you. They're not. Because you know what? They need us to stay in that state to benefit themselves. If we wake up from the state that we are in, what happens? What happens? People will realize that we all need each other, but by that time it'll be too late. We're gonna be in our own Africa. So guys, invest back home, invest in Africa, invest in black businesses, buy black, invest, invest, invest. Do not think that investing in Africa is a futile thing. It is not. Please decolonize your minds. Please go and look up your history. It is so vital. If you are lazy to look up history, check out my podcast. It's called Power Sessions with Natasha. You can find it on Spotify, Apple. If you are too lazy, you can listen in, tune in. Every day I drop some type of content to do with our history. You understand? It's vital. This is really, really vital information here. You understand? I really, really love you all and I appreciate you all so, so much. We're gonna schedule another live because you're clearly loving these guys. And don't forget to please like, comment, and share, guys. The more likes, the more the message is spread. People can see the videos. You don't want to be people who you just watch it and then you just go, oh, I've learned it. Press the like button. Share the content. Share the information. You understand? We need to get this information out to everybody. You understand? Thank you so much. I love you guys. I really appreciate you just turning out for me. And have a good evening. Bye.